Today's episode is a doozy. I was joined by one of my dear friends who is one of the most successful coaches that I've ever known in my entire life, who also has made more successful coaches than anyone else that I know in my entire life. And this episode is loaded with nuggets. And here are some of my favorite lines, takeaways, and things to get your brain ready to go. Are you a life artist squeezing every drop of juice out of every moment? Do you run a church like a gas station or a gas station like a church? What is business really about and what does it mean? Would you be able to take your business, take your family of 6 and visit 40 countries in 40 months while running your business profitably? He did. How he was running a webinar against a wall with bullet holes as his boat was pulling away. How his woo-woo dream created a massive company. How he made the mistake of getting 2 puppies at the same time, with the female one pooping on all of his stuff because it's asserting its dominance over him. The 3 things that are required to create an idea or a movement in your business, which is make it up, make it real, and make it recur. How your marketing will change more lives than your coaching ever will. Give in public, ask in private, the rules of making it up to make it real, and a German word that I can't pronounce that is a guaranteed compass for success. So there's all that, plus plenty of laughs, and he even shares his screen and maps out models. So if you're listening to this, I'm going to highly recommend that you go find the video version so that you can see him mapping out and sharing the frameworks for you to break it down and to apply all of this into your business. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Mind of George Show. This is an episode that has been long overdue and one I should have hit record on about 20 minutes ago, since we were talking about experimental drugs and being forced, but we'll leave that for a later conversation. So today, I am joined from the Statue of David from Australia. We got a father, a husband, and he's the Bruce Lee of the entrepreneurial world. And he's actually just somebody that's very near and dear to my heart. We've had a lot of conversations. We have a lot of mutual friends. I appreciate the fuck out of how this man shows up on the planet, how he shows up with his family, how he shows up in the world, how he shows up for entrepreneurs. And quite frankly, I know about 100 of the people that are in his world personally, and they all have incredible things to say. And so I had to, without further ado, have the incredible Taki Moore on the show. So Taki, welcome to the show.
Dude, thanks for having me. Pumped. Also, thanks for being one of the few Americans who doesn't call me Taki. Appreciate that.
Like tacky, like a thumbtack, like tacky. Okay.
All the time.
This is my lack of college education and high school doing me a favor and not knowing 100%. How to properly pronounce, American
Crash
things.
With cash.
Yeah, I got it. And the Boston accent in me, the old days probably lends itself well to saying Taki. And now I'm in my head and I'm catching it. I'm catching it.
Good.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm stoked to be here. I don't know how the hell we originally met. I think maybe someone introduced me to your Facebook group and I joined it and I got like a personal welcome message. I was like, this guy is not fucking around.
Yep.
Yeah, pumped, dude. Absolutely stoked. I have no idea what we're going to do, but I think it's going to be fun.
I know. I love it. I love that you don't do shows and it's been a while. I'm like, no, Taki, I'm like, we would break coffee. We get on video calls. I was like, let's just do it live. I think it was Sharfin. And then I actually remember, because I knew you and I knew so many people in your programs and everyone's like, you don't know Taki? You don't know Taki? You don't know Taki? I was like, well, I know of Taki, but no, I don't know Taki. And then I did what I normally do. And then we hit it off right away. And I was like, oh, I love this guy. So it's great. And so with that though, I would actually love, and I hate the boring part of this, but it's way better when you tell it. You have such a breadth of knowledge and experience as an entrepreneur. I'm in love with you tech-wise. Like you're like my tech husband and crush. And we have so much stuff that's out there and you've been in this game for a long time, but can you give everybody kind of like a background of like who you are today, but how you got here?
Yeah. Can we do the fast version? Cause I hate to talk about
like 1 minute, like 2 minutes, maybe.
Amazing.
No, fast
forward. So, all right. Bullet points. Here we go. Wanted to run a leadership, like a personal development program for school kids. Didn't know crap about business, knew about kids. Thought if I could find a business coach to coach me for free for the kids, I could learn some stuff on the go. Got hired by this dude to be his marketing guy. Turned out I was pretty good at it. None of the stuff they taught me worked, so I figured it out. He went from like 1 guy and 4 clients to a team of 13, and I was the marketing dude. Grew that, lots and lots of fun. Left to go do the kids thing. Worked really hard for 4 years. Had an amazing time. Kids would chant my name, Taki, Taki. When I got to the front door, it was amazing, but not super profitable. Turns out I liked working with kids because I thought kids were easier. Turns out adults are just kids with better excuses. And so now I apply the same kind of skill set, jazz hands, to business coaches around the world. We're famous for getting people to $1 million a year and beyond. And 6 kids. Ethan, my son, has got cerebral palsy and autism and epilepsy and a few things, and spent a bunch of time in hospital. And so pretty early on, like right at the start of this business, we wanted to build it in such a way that if we had to like drop everything and be at the Westmead Kids Hospital and keep the business running, we could. So we never did we kind of kept the business light and agile. Upside of that was fast forward to, he's 21 now. Fast forward to when he was like 17, we decided life was a little bit boring. We wanted to go traveling. We spent 3.5 years traveling all around the world with me, my wife, and 3 or 4 kids, depending on what month it was. 40 countries in 40 months. Time of my life. And the same freedom that got us, took care of business hospital side, took care of business traveling the world. Is that right?
That's perfect, because now we just get to be ourselves, and like we got the pleasantries out of the way, and everybody has a little bit of context. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's so funny because I'm like the opposite. In the last 12 years, I've done over like 3,000 interviews, and I was laughing the other day because I've never listened to another one, and everyone's like, "Do you remember what you used to say?" I'm like, I can still tell you verbatim my scripted answer for who I am and where I came from. Like,
I've never done that.
Like verbatim, and it wasn't intentional, but it was so just like boom, 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 and it was super disconnected from where I really was. It was like this position, and then now everyone's like, "Who are you and what do you do?" I was like, "Well, today I've been a good husband. My kids are really happy with me. I made a few people a couple dollars, and I haven't burnt my business to the ground. So I'd say like it's a really good day." And you're like, "That's what you're going to give me." I'm like, "That's all I got for today. That's it." So
they asked me to write a bio, and I was speaking at some conference, and like, "Give us a bio." I'm like, "Oh, dude, bios are so crap. And just say whatever you want." And they're like, "No, we need something." I'm like, "Father of 6. What did I say? Father of 6, scaler of coaches, lover of tacos," I think was all they got. I was like, "That'll do."
Yeah, it's funny. It's like so funny you say that. I just gave a keynote in Tennessee, and there was an MC. He's like, "How do you want me to introduce you?" I was like, "You know what? My buddy Brian's here." I was like, "Brian, will you do my intro?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "What do you want me to say?" I'm like, "Whatever you want." And he just goes up on stage, and I was like, he's like, "This is like the biggest walking liability." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is the best intro you could ever give me."
Yeah, 100%.
So real,
100%.
So ready. So before I get into like business questions, because I have a few of them, but I got to know, what was your absolute favorite country and why?
Oh, I mean, there's probably 3. Can I do 3?
Yeah,
I'll make
3.
them fast.
Your rules, your game.
Thanks. Yeah, fucker. Give me 1. I'm trying to limit my potential. 3. If there's 3 countries I'd go back to tomorrow. I'd go back to Japan. I'd go back to Croatia, and I'd go back to Morocco. And the reason I loved all of those countries is because they weren't like Japan. I don't know if you've been, but it's not like a foreign country. It's like a foreign planet. It's super immersive and weird in all the right ways. Morocco, we stayed in Old Town Marrakesh, and it's sensory overload. Like the smells are different, the colors are different, the sounds are different. Anything that's like fully immersive. And then Croatia, we went to by accident, meant to go to Cuba, and they had a hurricane or a tornado or whatever they call it. And so on our way there, we were like, "Where should we go?" And I just asked Facebook, and someone said, "Oh, there's this great couple that does like sailing cruises through Croatia." It wasn't on our top 1,000 countries to go to. We've done it 5 times now, 2 weeks on a boat. I just get to live like a pirate. And on the last day coming back, I never want to come. I'm like, "What are you doing next week? Can we just keep this going for a while?" And they're like, "No, we've had enough of you." But I'd go back to those places in a nanosecond.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm like the opposite. Like if I was on a boat, I'm like, "Give me land. Give me like solid ground." I was like, I can't. You like,
I'll tell you why it's great.
Life.
Like I love variety a lot, but there's a rhythm to the, like imagine you're 2 weeks on a boat. You wake up and you're docked at some village in the middle of the Adriatic. You get off the boat in the morning, go for a quick walk, grab a espresso. Coffee's usually bad, but that's okay. There's 2 or 3 good spots. Get back on the boat at 8 o'clock. Everyone's got a job. So the kids are coiling rope. Like it's called cheese. You've got to roll it in a certain way. Everyone's got a job. Sail for like 45 minutes out of the harbor, find a secluded bay with nobody there. They drop anchor. We swim. They make breakfast. Jump back in. Sail a little bit more. Find a lunch spot. We swim. They make lunch. About 3 o'clock, we're in the next town. They tidy the boat. We go explore the town. Dinner in town. Sleep on the boat. Do the whole exact same ritual in a whole new place the next day. It's kind of magic.
Yeah, I'd say that's magic. It's way better than like the sardine can experience of like 6,000 people on a boat.
Oh, no. Yeah, cruising is...
Yeah, you got to remember, like, my experience was when I was in the military. They're like, hey, you're going to go on this Mew, and you're going to live in a ship with a bed that has 3 feet of vertical space, 6 feet wide and 2 feet wide, and that's your home for the next 6 months. I was like, oh, I'm injured, or I'll go to Afghanistan, or please send me back to Somalia, because I am not living in a tuna can. And like,
this is different. This is very different. It's not that. It's a sailing boat. It's beautiful.
I love it. And then I love it. You said something in your very short intro, but I think that this is super powerful because I get asked this question a lot. I see it all the time. You built your business like agile and location independent. And for those of you like don't know, I won't share, but like giving context, like you run a massively successful company, and at any moment you can pick up and go. You can pick up and adjust. You can take calls on a boat or in a town or do that. What do you think?
So my favorite was on that boat.
Yeah.
Running a webinar in some little town that's got bullet holes in the wall from the war against Serbia, I guess. And I'm standing on on a yacht. They've got like a swim platform that drops down. You can jump off. So I'm standing on that with my iPad on a seat and my phone on a stick. And I'm doing this webinar. And then we get a call from the harbor master that some 50-meter yacht, like sailing, like charter boat is coming in and we've got to go. So I'm like, but I'm in the middle of this thing. So we literally just sailed away and my feet are like, water's washing. It was magic. You can do a lot with a phone on a stick, dude. That's all I'm saying. So I used to travel with all of this gear, like a laptop and an iPad and a phone. And then I'm in the jungles of Sri Lanka and the computer dies. There's a long story, but because the computer's out, I'm like, that's fine. I can run it off this and that. I'm going to be golden. And then we're in the Philippines 2 weeks later. There's no Apple store in Sri Lanka. So I've got these two things in the Philippines, and my daughter and I are watching videos on YouTube about how the iPhone 10, I think it was at the time, is waterproof. We watched 4 videos to make sure. We jumped in the pool and it died instantly. I'm like, crap, at least I got an iPad. So then I'm in bed at the hotel room watching The Blacklist and on Netflix or something. And I'm like, I'm a bit hungry. I'm going to go see if I can find some chocolate. So I go to the store and I get one of those those Toblerones.
Yeah.
I love Toblerone.
Yeah.
So I walk back to the hotel room and I've got my iPad, the hotel room key, and the Toblerone, and I fumbled. Everything drops and I saved the Toblerone and smashed my iPad. I was like, oh, wrong choice. Should have saved the iPad probably. But it turns out you can run your business from a phone just fine. It's kind of bad.
Yeah. And I love that too, because I get this all. Like, I'm the same way. Like, here's what's funny. Like, I'm an overpacker now because I feel like the older I get, the more I need to stay healthy and happy, like supplements and toys. Yet the last 3 trips, I'm like, I'm going to go give the keynote, but I have all this downtime. I'll bring my camera. I'll shoot some like good stuff, some like good reels. And then I get home and I realized it never came out of the bag. And I was like, so I just carried this extra suitcase for this good intention.
That's the test, isn't it? It's like the last time I went, like, because we're leaving for LA tomorrow for 10 days.
Yeah.
I mean, exciting, not exciting for me. I haven't left the country in 2.5 years and I miss it. But like yesterday, I'm packing because we've got a house in Noosa. I'm like, what should I bring? I'm like, nah, we're going to go back to a phone on a stick. And so I've got my phone and I've got my stick and I'm stoked. And it's like, it's going to be light. It's great.
Yeah. And I think I'd love to hear. So you have a lot of experience. You have a lot of coaches in your world. You have a lot of people that you interact with. And I feel like one of the things that I've seen, because I've been doing this for like 21 years and like 12 directly in entrepreneurship, but I just see this direct line of correlation of like overcomplication and then affecting the business. And what I love is when you say like, oh, you can run a webinar on the back of a boat against a bullet torn wall in Serbia as the 15 yachts coming in, and I can be in the jungles of Sri Lanka, and you do it. It's so funny because in most of our industry, everybody's teaching complicated, add this step, this tech.
Dude,
I'd love to hear your riff on that.
I mean, you're in a great studio with buttons and lights, and so am I.
Yeah.
This is home. And I would give it all away tomorrow for the chance to be back on the freaking boat or in the jungle in a nanosecond. COVID was good for us. save some money on events, bought 2 amazing houses. Cool. But I would drop it all to have a backpack and like just light. So you're right. Like tech wise, you don't need all the stuff. I think there's like an incremental scale. Like if you go like how much of a difference it makes, how much it costs, or the whatever. Like from here to here, that's big. Like you kind of doubled your goodness by going from a crap phone to a good phone, or from a phone to a. But the moment you go from like a $5,000 camera to a $10,000 or a $50,000, like nobody knows.
Nope.
And so yeah, you don't need any of that crap. But the truth, the same is true for not just like tech, but like systems and funnels and all of the stuff. Like what does it really take to get to $1 million a year? Like one target market, one product, one way to get the leads, one way to sell them, and a year to tweak. And like that's it. It's simple. And so often the secret to getting someone to $1 million a year is like scissors, not duct tape. Like what can we prune? Complex fails, simple scales. I think that's the most concise way I've thought about it.
I had a call with somebody earlier, and I was like, he's like, I want to scale. I'm like, subtraction's the secret to scale, not addition.
Dude, that's genius.
Not
you should be on my show. I don't have a show yet, but if I did,
but we can talk all the time. I mean, I'll come in on any of your calls. I'll just talk customer journey all day. Subtraction equals scale, like ready to go. But I also love too is like what it sounds like, and this has been something new to me. My move to Montana, my entrepreneurship, like I've done it all. I've made the millions, I've lost them, and now I luckily changed who I was to keep them. So like we're a lot better, now without myself.
I haven't done that yet. My secret to keeping them was like I make it and my wife keeps it, and that's a good deal.
Well, that's our rule now.
As I keep her, we're in good shape.
That's our rule now. But in the beginning, I was like, I'll make it, and then I'll just go on full tilt emotionally, not think I deserve this, and then do everything to break what's working. And then very quickly, she's like, I told you. And I was like, oh yeah. So I don't even have access to my bank accounts. Like, I'm not joking. I don't know the logins. I'm handed a credit card and it said, this is what you use it for. And then about once a quarter, either her, the bookkeeper, the accountant talks to me about commingling and kicks me in the ass. And then they're like, oh, you've actually been really, really good. But George, that new sniper rifle, that's not a business expense. I'm like, but I posted a photo on Instagram.
Totally.
And they're like, you're pushing the boundaries, but I love it. But the reason I'm saying that is because like what I love hearing you talk about, you embody it, this passion, this vigor for like life is your priorities are straight. It's life first and business to support the life. But one of the 100%. things that I see so much,
because even knowing that, sometimes you accidentally forget it and you end up like, Eli Wild said something on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, smart dude. And he said, what you allow, you choose. I was like, oh, shit. And I realized I'd allowed some stuff that I hadn't consciously chose, but I'd allowed, which means I chose it to continue. And so as soon as I read, I'm like, oh, all right, I've allowed this and this. We're going to change that back to in line with what we really want. I think that's important. It's too easy, dude. Like, it's too easy to let your own ADD or everybody else on social media tell you the way. I think that like the magic is just listening, is like actually tuning into what you want and doing that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think with where we are, like looking back, like the amount of people we coach or experience we've had, everybody that is quote unquote successful in my book has always found that either the easy way or the hard way, but they always come back to that. They always come back to that.
Yeah. By the way, dude, we got 2 puppies about 4 months ago. Every now and again, they're going to bark. I can't do anything about it. I've tried. So if you hear dog barking,
you're good. We do you know how many episodes my 5-year-old has run in? He's like, Daddy, I know you're recording a podcast and I'm not supposed to interrupt you, but I'm going to talk to you anyways. And I tell my team, I'm like, don't edit that out. Just leave it. It's like it's either all of me or none of me. This is our show. Yeah. Like, this is it. This is life. 100%. What kind of puppies?
2 border collies, brother and sister. Tactical error. I'm regretting it big time, dude. I'm like, yeah. And I'm not just regretting it because they bark a bit like that, or because one of them's really good, Leroy. His sister Lenny, she's naughty. And she likes to poo in the house, but mostly in my spaces. So like my bedroom, my bathroom, my office, my gym. And she just does it, and then she just looks at me. It's like, gotcha. So partly because of that, but mostly because I'm just excited about getting back into the world and nomading again. Kids are like at an amazing online school. Business is super flexible and remote, and I've got these two little furry anchors holding me back.
I can see that, and I empathize. We have 7 horses and 3 snakes.
Okay.
And so the snakes are easy because they can live in their cage, and I can be gone for 2 months. They're fine. Horses, not so much. So yeah. I'm like, at least yours fit in a crate. My crates cost a couple $1,000s a month for them to fit in. So
yeah.
I'd take the dog poop and the dog psychology as it's trying to assert its dominance over you in your space and pooping in everywhere you live.
Lenny's giving me all of the subliminals. Yes, I just shat in your office. What are you going to do about it, big guy? Huh?
Oh my God. I love it. So when you think about this, like, I know there's, and here's the thing, I know my audience, so where they're going to be like, wait, how does this guy run a company his size? And then in a moment's notice, he just picks up and he's so flexible and so done and so ready. Like, when you started, so actually I'm going to go all the way back to like when that guy hired you for marketing. Were you already interested in marketing, or was it something that by being thrown in that container, you realized like you loved and you were excited about and you just thrived in it?
Yeah. No, I was excited about it. When I was 17, I went to Brazil when I was 17.
Okay.
Before I left, I got into my dream university course, industrial design. My uncle Rolf was my hero. He's a designer. So I got into this course. The moment I saw my name in the thing, I was like, oh yes, but I don't want that. I just wanted to be like Rolf. So I deferred, like I put it on pause for a year and I went traveling for a year, went to Brazil. And a year later, my mum calls me. I'm in Brazil at the time. Mum calls me and she goes, hey, I've got to tell them what you want to do for your course tomorrow. What do you want to do? I'm like, well, I don't know. It's like 11 o'clock at night. Tell you in the morning, call me first thing. So I fall asleep. This is probably the most kind of woo-woo thing I've ever done in my life. I'm like, hey, if there's something I'm supposed to do, just tell it to me in my dream tonight. What the hell do I know? I was tired. Middle of the night, no word of a lie, business administration. I hear it, I wake up. Anyway, mum calls, I do business administration, marketing. My uncle Brian, who's in Perth on the other side of Australia, kind of like LA to New York, distance away, I guess.
Okay.
Here's, I'm into it, and he's had a business for ages, and he sends me this crate, like a chest full of his old books and tapes, not CDs back then, but books and tapes and manuals from all the seminars he's been to. And I just like, I'm geeking out hard. Like, it's Jay Abraham and it's Michael Gerber and it's anyway, a bunch of dudes. And I'm just like obsessed with learning. And I found like a thing that's super exciting to me, and I just nerd out super hard. And so then I was into that, and I was fascinated with this coaching idea. And then I got offered a job as the marketing manager for the world's #1 business coaching team. That's what it said on the dude's business card. So I'm like, this is going to be awesome. Swanky office overlooking the harbor. So it's some dude's apartment, and my office is the dining table, and my tech setup is a Yellow Pages spreadsheet and a phone, and I get given a binder with 74 pages of script for one phone call. And the problem was I had the script, and it was like black was my words, blue was their words, and red was like, if they say this, go here. But like they didn't have the script. So it said they were supposed to say, that sounds great, Taki, sign me up. And they never said that. Anyway, so I've been fascinated by like marketing and coaching for a long ass time. 2004, I think I might have started.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, long time.
I was deployed to Somalia in 2004.
Okay, well, that's because you were a real man and I was a kid who had a Yellow Pages and a telephone as his toolkit.
So I actually want to know this. So like when you started getting into it, you have the script, right? And they hit a no-go, right? They didn't respond. Did you just talkie it? Did you just take it over and just like go super?
Well, so here's what happened. Our job was to dude wanted to run a little workshop. I think like maybe 12 or 15 business owners in a room for a 2 or 3 hour intro night. That was the goal. So I get the script and I get the call and I'm ringing everybody, and I got like 16 business owners to say, yes, I'm coming. And it was on a Tuesday night in the legends room of the Balmain Tigers Leagues Club, which is, do they have like an RSL club, like where veterans go?
They do. Yeah. It's not a real popular thing though. So yeah. We have the VFW.
It's not a real popular thing here, but there's gambling there. So people go there for gambling. Anyway.
Yeah.
So we're running this thing, and I've got 16 people booked in, and it's Friday afternoon, and David, my boss, goes, hey, can you call everyone just to make sure they're coming? He's like, what? Because it's his first one. And it's like, all right. So I call them all. I'm like, I need a reason to, I can't just say, hey, you're still coming. That sounds weird. He goes, so we'll just check catering requirements. I'm like, but we're not even catering. It doesn't matter. I'm like, all right. So I call these dudes. I'm like, do you have any dietary requirements? There's no freaking food. And they're like, yep. And you know when to come, and I'll see you there. 6:30 registration for 7 o'clock start. No worries. Perfect. So we go to the weekend happy. And over the weekend, he's like, stress levels rise again. And Monday morning, he's like, I just need you to call everyone again. I'm like, all right, but I need another excuse. Parking and directions. I'm like, okay. So I'm calling these dudes for parking and directions. Anyway, so I have to call these guys 3 times, and they're all like, yep, we're coming. 16 businesses, going to be great. Maybe 20 people. So I've called them 3 times. We get there and we set up the room, and this little room full of like rugby league players, photos on the walls, because it's a Balmain Tigers is a sports club. Blah, blah. And so I'm like, it's already at 6 o'clock, and he's inside the room pacing up and down, and the tables are all set herringbone style or whatever it was. And at 6:30, I'm there for registration, like me out the front with the name tags, and nobody's there. I'm like, oh shit. And he pops his head out. Where are they? I'm like, I don't know. You said they'd be here. I know, they told me that too. We're like yelling at each other. And like nobody shows up. At 6:40, no one's there. 6:45, no one's there. It's like 6:57, 2 people come. And one of them is my best friend who comes for moral support, and one's an actual real prospect. So now David's got this super awkward position where he's got a room set for 20 and there's 2. And he's like, well, do I sit down at the table around them, or do I like stand up and present? And so he's doing this weird, like it's just super awkward. One of them became a client and turned into like amazing things. But like afterwards, I was like, what is going on here? And I just remember going, if I call them, it's easier for them to say yes just to get me off the phone, even if they don't want to come. So I've got to figure out, how do I get them to call me? And that's how the obsession started. Like, how do I do this? And then I found a dude called Perry Marshall. I think he was probably the first, maybe Perry Marshall. And I just like adapted his stuff for our space, and it worked a treat. It was like super old school. It was like faxes and direct mails and all this. It was like very pre-internet. It's good. Anyway, figured it out. Got this guy to like a big business, 13 coaches and a big team. And then one day after Easter, we all walked in, and he like does the vision board org chart of how things are going to be. And he's like telling us to like pick where we want to be in this whole like, and I was sitting there going, yeah, I don't think I want to be anywhere on your org chart. I think maybe I'm done. This is after 4 years. I'm like super grateful. I learned heaps every single day. It was like a seminar. Like they had like 14 points of culture. I can't remember all of them, but they call you on your shit every single day. It was an amazing spot to be.
Wow. So what is it that like you have this like spark and zest when it comes to like marketing and people? Like, what is it that you love so much about like marketing?
Dude, I love 2 things. I love the creativity, like the thinking about like angles and hooks, and like big fan of Dean Jackson. He's one of my favorite humans. I love the way Dean's gone. If it was one person, what would I say? And then how do we scale the one? I think that's just like, I love that. So I love figuring stuff out. Frankly, I also really love collaborating with smart, like I've got a handful of really smart people in my world who I jam on this stuff. Like we've got in our marketing team, we have like the core, which is like the weekly client machine. We run the 100 lead bundle. We run the weekly client machine. We run the $1 million workshop, and like we've got a system, and it just runs. It's awesome. It's good. It's done. I'm not excited about it because I'm excited about the results, but not excited about the thinking about it. So that's the core. Then we've got the lab, and I love the lab because the lab's like, all right, I've got some time. I got some budget. I can do whatever the hell we want. It doesn't matter if it works or not, but if it does, it's going to become something in the core later. I love the gap between making it up and making it happen. The making it recur, I'm not excited about it at all.
The gap between making it up and making it happen. I love that. It's so good.
In full credit, I interviewed, we had a woman called Shannon Waller who works at Strategic Coach. She was my coach for a few years back. And they've got this like project triangle that I don't know if it's part of their IP yet, but it certainly will be. And if you just go, hey, I've got, usually there's 3 roles in the business, and we get frustrated when we're in the wrong roles. Make it up, make it real, make it recur. And so if there's people in your business who go, hey, I've got this idea and they're excited about it, they're probably a make it real person. And the people who are like, no, you're fucking with my system, they're probably make it recur people. And there's no value in making it up if you don't make it real. But like that side of the triangle, make it up, make it real, I froth on that.
Yeah.
And then once it's done, the two last steps on the project, handover sheet that I fill in when I'm working on, with the team on a project is figure out how to make it recur, and Taki's 100% not involved. Not Taki is my favorite person on the team, and not Taki gets lots of jobs.
This is literally like why we get along so well, because we're identical.
Dude, we actually registered we were talking about URLs before we started recording. Nottaki.com is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It's a sidekick kind of virtual assistant trained up in our stuff person. Yeah, it's good.
I love that. So of all of that, like I'm actually super, super curious of the make it up to make it real. Like what's one of like your favorite ones that you made up and it was like a smashing success?
Oh man, there's heaps. I got two. But I probably
you can share as many as you want.
Okay.
I'm not limiting your potential, Taki.
Say again?
I'm not limiting your potential.
Yeah, well, dude, you've got color-coded glasses and Oura rings today, and I'm like mesmerized by the whole vibe that's going on right now. So we invented this thing last year called the weekly client machine. And it's like at its basics, there's two parts. There's a content plan and a really simple funnel. It allows you to do amazing content across all of your channels. It's like kind of invent it once and it goes to Facebook, email, Facebook group, YouTube, Instagram, all the places. Probably TikTok, but I don't really know what I'm doing there yet. So I'm sure it does, but I don't know. And so what I love about it is it takes about 40 minutes a month to plan the month's worth of stuff. And in terms of Taki time, 15 minutes a week to shoot one live video on a Thursday. And the thing's just a machine. Like it's an engagement machine. It's an opt-in machine. It's a call booking machine, and it's generous. Like the thing that I feel really strongly about is that your marketing will probably change more lives than your coaching ever will. And that part of that is about, audience and reach. But I think it's really important that you're generous with your stuff. I remember reading in, I don't know if I've got it here, Rework, a book by the Basecamp guys. They had it's basically 2-page chapters, super good. And the chapter was called Don't Outspend, Outteach. I was like, all right, that's me in a nutshell. So the rule for us is give in public, ask in private. And so there's never like, buy my stuff, discount, deal, promotion. It's always give, and then an ask happens in private, usually by email, which is one of the things we both nerd out hard on. So Weekly Client Machine is crushing, and now it's, our job is to kind of figure stuff out. And by the time we're at like I think we're at version 7 of it right now. We've got 2 upgrades to make for version 8. But once we figured it out, we tested with some clients, and once it's working for them, then we can roll it out to our client community. And we built a CRM for our clients to implement our stuff. And it just every time we figure something out, we can go da-da-da. Oh, and if you check your account now, boop, all of the templates just magically land in their thing, and they're like, oh, so that's fun.
I love it. I have a follow-up question to that, because I think there's 2 very important things that you said in there that I don't want to skip over, but I'm innately curious. What is your metric or measure where you look at of like, make it up to make it real, that you give it the idea or understand that it's going to have legs to like put it out? Like, what's your validation process, or what do you look for to test it before it becomes iterative?
Ask me that again. I think I got it, but ask me so like a 6-year-old.
Got it. Yeah, that was it's also 9:00 at night in my world, for everybody wondering, because Taki's in Australia and I want him to look his best, and so I look tired and he looks handsome. So we're good, dude. But pink covers the bags
of my eyes. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they're both right. We had a Facebook message about how much we could fit this much handsome on a call, and we're doing incredible, but the internet might break when this thing comes out. So one of the things that like I like to look at, like a lot of my decision of like make it up, and then am I going to apply it, is based on my intuition. It's like, I want to do this. Yeah. So no matter what, I'm going to give it legs. And I'm like, I'll try this. I'll go here. And I'll give myself a container to put it into. Like I can give it X amount of energy, X amount of effort, and then get it going. Like, do you have a unit of measure? Because you're a master of like systems, processes, and things like that. At least that's what it looks like for me on the outside.
I'm glad the vibes I'm giving off are giving you that impression.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
A couple of rules. Number one, every project in our world gets 6 weeks tops, and there's no extensions. This is a great book too. I don't know if you've read this, but I think you'll froth. It's called Shape Up by the guys at Basecamp.
I have it. I have that one.
So 6 week cycles is how we run our business and client businesses. 6 weeks is long enough to ship something in the world, short enough that you can't fuck around. 90 days sounds fine. At least to me, I've got ADHD. I can't do anything for 90 days in a row. 6 weeks is perfect. So first rule is it gets 6 weeks. Number two, we've got two kinds of projects in our company. We've got, for want of a better word, we've got projects which might touch multiple departments. They're really hard for me to mess with because it messes up people's lives.
Yeah.
Right? So if it's a project for me, I'm allowed to do, like, pretend I'm wearing the marketing hat. It's not my full-time gig, but let's say I'm wearing the marketing hat. I can do anything I want in marketing as an experiment, as long as it doesn't change how we sell or how we deliver. So as long as it's scoped, good, then automatic blessing to do whatever the hell I want. And if it's bigger, then every 6 weeks, after 6 weeks, we have 2 weeks of what we call cool down, which is where we kind of pause and we reassess and we figure out. We don't have like a 13-year strategic plan. I don't know what I'm going to do next year. I don't even know what I'm going to do in 3 months. I'm not there yet. It's May right now. I love that I had to look at the clock to figure out.
I love that you had to look to figure out what month it was.
So it's May right now. And because it's May, I'm doing what's in this 6 week cycle, which is called Dubai. Next 6 week cycle, I'll have a different city name. And in the 2 weeks before the cycle starts, we'll figure out what we're going to do and test. And so we don't have like a backlog of all the stuff that we're going to get around to. That makes you feel guilty and overwhelmed. If it's still important in 6 weeks, we'll talk about it then. And if it matters, we'll pick it. And that's kind of how we do it.
I love that. Well, what it also feels like too is that it keeps your finger more on the pulse of what's current, like what's happening, and it allows you to pivot and stay agile.
So the Germans have got this amazing word. I don't know how to spell it, but it sounds awesome. It's called Fingerspitzengefühl, and it means fingertip feel. And there you go. You learned something new today, bro. You're welcome.
I did.
Fingerspitzengefühl. Say that 3 times. Fingertip feel is really important, and I've really battled a lot internally this last year about, we make grown-up business money, and we're supposed to run like a grown-up business, and I just don't want that, man. I'm like, we got a bunch of friends who are really good at the operation side of their business. They like daily huddles and weekly thises and quarterly that's, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to do any of that. I love jam sessions. Like if you and I were putting our head together on some email strategy or a customer lifecycle strategy, that'd be fun. But if we had to do it every Thursday at 9:30 with 7 other people who aren't relevant, count me out. And so I've been trying to figure out the operating system that feels more like a pirate ship and less like the Navy. And I think we're kind of a long way there. We're not there yet, but we're in process. Nothing wrong with the Navy. Navy's awesome. You think about like how the Navy SEALs run. I want to run like that. More pirate ship than, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I love that. Can you, for everybody listening, can you pronounce that word again, please?
Pirate ship?
No, finger feel.
Oh, Fingerspitzengefühl.
Okay, cool. I'm going to have to Google that and figure out. I'm going to have to take like some enunciation lessons. I love it. That's a
Just Google Fingertip Feel German, and I'm sure it'll tell you how to spell it.
I love it.
That's nice. Having like I'm very kinesthetic, and like having a finger on the pulse, what's working, what's not, what do we want to do? These are all of the options. We got this super simple process, dude. Can I share a thing real quick?
Yeah, you can share it. And for those listening, he's sharing a screen, and you'll be able to see it when you go watch the video. So yeah, please.
Yeah, 100%. Let me find a page. I bet after all that, I don't even have it here because let me just draw.
Yeah, just draw.
So you come up with a bunch of options, right? Can you see this?
Yep, I can see that.
All right. Bunch of options of things you want to do. And you've probably already figured out like what's the problem you want to solve. Is it like a lead gen thing? Is it a lead nurture thing? Is it a conversion thing? Is it a delivery thing? Is it a resale thing? Is it a profit thing? Like, you just look through the business and go, where's the weak spot right now? And then we just like, each of these ideas lives on a card. What's the strategy? How much money do you think it'll make us or save us? What are the key steps? How much work's involved? Blah, blah, blah. And then we just bang it onto a simple grid, dude. And we go, if this is, I'm going to use pink in your honor. If this is impact, high, medium, low, and this is ease, like, is it going to be easy to do or hard to do? Again, high, medium, low. So we end up with this like grid, right? And we take our cards and we go, hey, I got 6 ideas, and we just figure out where they live. Well, obviously, nobody wants a low impact hard thing, so that's off. And we aim to lean up here, and we call that the big easy. And dude, like, the big easy is kind of a little bit magic. And so out of all the things you could pick, if we're going to bet 6 weeks on something, let's bet 6 weeks on something that feels like it's high return and pretty easy to do.
Yeah, I love it. And it's so powerful. But earlier, like, one of the things that I love, like, as witness and knowing you and being friends with you, is like your ability to be agile, but there's nothing that gets bogged down or anchored up. There's not these open loops or these things that are stuck in the past. Like, you run 6-week cycles, you have a validation process for an idea, you keep it all the way down to simple frameworks. And I think it's one of the big principal secrets of being able to go and adjust and go. And then in the cool down period, do you guys go and, like, I'm assuming like all of the team, like, you guys have this cool down period. It's kind of like a reset, stop the sprint, what's there, make an adjustment. What happens if, like, you finish your 6 weeks in Dubai and there were things that were left unsaid, like in the parking lot or undone? Do you move them forward, or do you just iterate and reprioritize them based on what you just showed?
Yeah, there's no company-wide list of things we could do at some stage.
Got it.
If there's something like in my head, or if you were on our team in your head, like, honestly, most of what we learned is from here. Just to be super clear, I didn't invent this. I just vibed with it. But you're going to have a list of, like, things that you'd like to do that you've got full permission during the cycle to think around, work up, write up. So it goes from, like, a card to a filter to a pitch, which is like here's what, a well thought idea. Mm-hmm. And then that goes to, during the cool down, one of the things we do is a leadership meeting where we'll, one meeting is we're reviewing, and the next one is what nexting. And we read through all of the pitches, and we decide to bet some time and energy and money and attention on a handful of things. Yeah. It's kind of liberating, honestly, not having the backlog of stuff, because, like, there's never going to be enough time to do a quarter of the ideas that you have. And so rather than just have this list of all of the things we could/should do, it's like, let's just blank slate this. If it still matters in 6 weeks, it'll matter, and we'll talk about it then. But right now, I'm doing this.
Yeah, I have the rule. I have the rule with myself. Like, I get ideas, but it's not till I, like, remember it for, like, the 6th time that I actually write it down. Because I'm like, if it's important, just because I'm in the sauna and it pops up, I don't need to take my phone out and think I'm going to lose this, like, bright idea. And so I've learned to trust myself to where I'm like, if it's important and I give myself enough, as Keith Cunningham calls thinking time, it will come up again.
Isn't that a great book?
It's so
The Road Less Stupid?
Literally driving in my car every road trip. It's like my number one listen to of, like, repeat, because I love his narration and the way that he talks, and, like, he's so direct and blunt. It's so good.
It's one of the best books.
But
in my world, dude, if I come up with a thing, the easiest thing for me to do is just grab one of these.
Yep.
What's the strategy? How much money do I think it'll make us or save us? Is it, this just says attract, convert, like, is it marketing, sales, delivery, or something else? And then this is like, how much work is involved? Like, is it a pebble, which is like a day's work, a week, a month, or a full cycle?
I love that.
And then I just, like, pop it into the box. And then at the end of the when it's cool down time, I just got a list of cards that I can, nope, yep, nope, nope, yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, and it's out of my head, so I don't have to obsess. I just know it's there, and I'll come back to it if it matters.
Totally. And you and I are so alike. Like, I like some of the methodology. Like, I used to try to, like, implement, like, the Zydelkasten method, because Andre Chaperone's a friend. And Andre did this incredible breakdown of like idea organization and not linear, but systems based. And I was like, okay, Andre, you're like one of the most like structured people I know. Like we have a call and he sends me digital visual drawn notes of our call like a day later. And I was like, Andre, I love you. I was like, that's not how my brain works. And then I found like Get Things Done. And what I love about Get Things Done, the GTD method is just an inbox where every idea gets dumped in. But what I realized is that I was having a lot of fleeting ideas that weren't fully processed. They weren't fully baked. A lot of them were reactions or things that didn't take up mental bandwidth, but didn't take it. And so I was like, what's my number? And that's where I came in. And then I do what you do is I inbox them. And then like once a week or once a month, I just have thinking time. I'm like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. But it did take me a couple years to throw away the no's and not add them to a parking lot because I had this scarcity of ideas. And I'm like, but if I get rid of this.
Yeah, the someday maybe list. It's great.
The someday maybe list. Yeah, it's honestly great.
Yeah, I mean, it's super great. So have a place to put them so that you don't have to worry about them. For me, the place is usually a physical place rather than we use Basecamp as a team to structure stuff. It's amazing. But I can't be logging into some software to tell me what to do with my day. That's just I'm a pen and paper guy. Can I show you out of all of the things in the office, like one of my favorite things?
Yeah, please.
This one was a gift. So it's like 8 times bigger than my other one, but it's just like a clock.
Yeah.
And it just counts down the time and it ticks.
Oh, so like when you wind that becomes the timer.
Yeah. It's got a time. You just go 50 minutes. Now it's timing down.
That's incredible.
It's the best. It's really big. Get the little one. It's perfect. Like that size. Lightning. Anyway, Ed on my team was up a couple of weeks ago and he gave me that as a gift, which is super nice. But all you need is a pen and a clock and you're pretty much golden.
Yeah. You know what I love so much about Taki? Like I obviously like I consume like the clients on demand week. Like I went through all of it. I consume your content because I love it. I'm like, because like I geek out, like, oh, look what he's doing. And what about this? And what about this? And like, I love it. But like, I love that the way that you answer questions by actually just living what it truly is, like the simplicity of it. Like you take complicated ideas and things that I watch some of my private clients that make exorbitant amounts of money get stuck on for months at a time. And it's literally solved in a matter of like minutes and minutes and minutes. And what it feels like is that you just have this everlasting protection for momentum. And you realize that the only thing that's going to happen is when it gets done. And that action is like the only way. And I love it because it's not some scripted thing. You're like, no, here's this, break this down. No, do this. I want to travel, get it done. I want to be agile. Let's simplify it. I want to do this, throw it in the trash. Fuck the digital, put it on my desk. Like it's this 100%. Constant.
Get me out of the office, take me to a coffee shop. So I wrote a book years ago. Turned out to be actually pretty good. Right. So I wrote this book, and when I was outlining like what the chapters are, I'm like, I've never written a book. I need a framework for like if I'm going to do it more than once, I'm going to build like a framework for it. And so I'm like, all right, well, a chapter probably has like an intro story and 3 key points, like frustrations and fears, and 3 key points, maybe a model, a case study, a worksheet, or whatever the pieces are. So I built this worksheet, and then my favorite game was go to taco shop or burger shop or coffee shop. Order taco, burger, or coffee. And then before the food arrived, I had to have outlined a chapter. So this is something magic. Like it's the best. You can just get an amazing lot done when like focus is really hard. And so like I love momentum. I love the feeling of being in flow. I think it's one of the things I got from Sharfen is like this idea of being a momentum-based person. And just like the feeling of moving is great. And have you ever done like the Colby test or one of those personality profile things?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like a 10 quick start and a 1 fact find. So like, I don't need much information to do stuff, and I'm happy when I'm doing stuff. And by the time most people have like analyzed 9 options, I've probably tried 1, didn't work, 2, didn't work, 3, and landed on 4 or 5. And it's amazing before they've gone, well, maybe let's just make it simple, get some stuff done.
Yeah. You and I are identical. I was like, I fact find when I do it. That's how I learn. Like,
of course. Like, how are you going to know?
Yeah. It's like what I love too is like when and you so subtly said it earlier, like, and then when we're on like version 8, we give it out. And I watch people spend 6 months, 9 months trying to create version 1, but version 1 is what everyone has done today. And then you get real world feedback feedback and iterate. You test it and you iterate. You get it and you iterate.
Yeah. So version 8 of the weekly client machine is going to add the two things which feel, and this is a feel thing, like the numbers don't say that it's missing, but I'm just not loving it. So I'm proud of the results, but I'm not proud of it. It needs more voice and it needs more personality. It needs an opinion and it needs personality. And so version 8's rolling that back in. And right now the weekly client machine feels a little bit too machine for my, I just read it and I'm like, it's like a 7. Dude, 7's not okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this one feels a little bit robotic. We need some human. We need some pink. We need some personality. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, like when I think about this on paper and I think about like your business, like you talk about, I'm making big business money. I'm making adult money. Like you have a big business. What I also love is like this childlike
also
fun.
Like a 6-year-old. That's important.
I know.
To understand.
I know. But like, I love this like fun and this childlike, like it keeps the heart and the soul and the spark in the business where there's a real world impact. You have a lot of people on your team. And I love that your decisions are like, hey, it can't affect them. It can't affect their life. It has to be supportive of them. But you're also like, my number one fucking rule is this gets to be fun. And if it's not fun, I'm not doing it. And so I'm curious, like, has it always been about that? Like when you thought about moving and leaving from like, okay, 4 years, I don't fit in your org chart. And you're like, I'm going to do this on my own. Was it guided in like what you wanted it to be, or did it take you a while to find out? And like, what is business really for you? Like, what's the purpose of business for you?
Yeah, I don't think I knew at the time. I knew what it wasn't. I think sometimes the easiest way to figure out what you want is to like
inversion theory all day. Yep.
So for me, it was like, well, I don't want that, and I don't want this, and I don't want that. I didn't decide to be a coach to business coaches and help them. Like it happened by accident. A guy reached out and he was in real trouble, and I helped him, and he went from like in his franchise, he went from the bottom to number 2 in 80 something days, and he told all his friends, and so now I'm 15 years later or whatever it is now, I've got this business. So it wasn't a plan. I've got like a little bit of a mantra, and like for me, I'll answer the what's it about in a sec, but like for me, if I can work on projects that excite me with people I really love collaborating with or jamming with to help people like care about or we care about, I could do that forever. And so I'm not building something to sell. I love people who do. I'm not trying to exit. I'm not trying to like get myself out of stuff. I could work on projects that excite me with people I love collaborating with to help to work with, to serve people we care about for the rest of my life. Someone asked me the other day, hey, Taki, do you ever plan to like retire? I'm like, no, dude, I'm going to be halfway through one of these things and like die of a heart attack. And like, you'll just see my pen drop down and I'm going to go. So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to be halfway through a triangle and I'm going to, I think figuring out why you run your business, like maybe you start with it, maybe you discover it. I think I discovered it. For me, in my family, we've got this word that 3 of us have, me, my mum, and my uncle Rolf, the designer I told you about before. And it's the word that we just use to describe each other. And it's a life artist. A life artist is someone who can like squeeze every drop of juice out of every moment. And like life becomes about expression. And so for me, business is art. It's an expression. I don't paint or sculpt or draw. I do this. And like for ages, I was like, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, people would say, so Taki, like when you think about Taki, what's he great at? Well, his slides look amazing and his flip charts are so like his models. I'm like, cool, that was my art. But then one day I was like, well, if we could just take a step back, like what if we could art the whole thing? Like the stuff that you see and the stuff that no one will ever see. What if it all was like, like I was like, oh, that lights me up. And so for me, this is about expression. Yes, there's definitely a service part to it. Of course, there's a financial part to it. Like I like to buy, I don't wear shoes, but I like to buy shoes, but like I've got enough shoes now. So the money, I guess the money, like saying the money doesn't matter would be dumb because like the money is a direct reflection of like how many people we get to help. But really it's about making cool shit for people, like with people I love, for people we care about. And it's art. Years ago, remember I told you earlier, my uncle sent me this crate full of all of the tapes. And so I'm listening to Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth, and he's doing this talk. And he talks about how the best businesses in the world are obsessed. He's like, so at Disneyland, they steam clean the car park every night. They don't have to, but they do because they're obsessed. And he had this throwaway line, dude. He goes, I've traveled all around the world. I've consulted to thousands of businesses. He goes, I've seen churches that are run like gas stations. And I've seen gas stations that are run like churches. And I don't know, every now and again you hear a phrase that like, boom, I'm grabbing that. So I grabbed that. And so this is a church run this is a gas station run like a church. That's, it's not religious, but it's fucking awesome. That's what we do.
You know what? I'm going to be really blunt. I feel so fucking edified just talking to you because I was like, oh, this is why we get along. I was like, we might have been born on different continents and separate at birth. I was like, I'm just like listening to myself articulate it better than I can do. I fucking love it. Yeah. I love it. But I will say, like, your drawings and handwriting is so much better than mine. And I was like, I might need to take an art class because my expression is not matching the vision in my head based on
that's the funny thing, because I mean, years ago I was like, imagine if, well, we all think our stuff's great. So I'm just going to just understand that what I'm saying is in my head and it might not be true. But I felt like we had the best stuff in the world, and it would be a disgrace if our stuff didn't look as good as it really was and people discounted it because of that. So like we're just obsessed with how stuff looks and feels. There's lots of like tactile stuff. But yeah, it's just an expression. It's like, how do we make this simpler, more usable, more beautiful always? And I think like we've done a good job of that front stage. And the last year we've been obsessed with how do we make the backstage as good as the front stage? Because, can I recommend a talk to watch?
Please. Yeah.
I've talked about the Basecamp guys like a bunch of times today. Like I'm obsessed. You know how you said I'm feeling like edified right now? About 4 months ago, I interviewed Jason Fried, the founder of Basecamp, for our boardroom group. And I just left feeling like validated and vindicated and hopeful like I'd never felt in my entire life, because he was like, oh, that's what I've been thinking and feeling, but I couldn't say. And now like I've seen it. There's another business that's really good that does how I would love to. It's like, yes, that's what we want. So he did a talk. I'll find the link for you and you can drop it in the show notes if you like. He did a talk for a group of SaaS founders. And the idea I got from it was, he says, as like software as a service companies, they're really good at building products. And the way we build great products is we listen and we iterate and we listen and we iterate. He goes, but we never think about building the ultimate product, which is the company we build for ourselves that builds the products we sell. And so I'm just kind of obsessed right now with like, how do we work as much on the product that we get to work in for hopefully forever, and make that as great as anyway, I'm super geeked out about it.
Well, you know what's crazy is like, I've had people make fun of me. Like I've had even my wife, there was a point where she's like, why are you in your room for your event 5 hours before anybody else gets here? And I was like, because I want to touch every chair. I want to sit in every spot. I want to go feel what they're going to feel when they're sitting in that chair and I'm in the front of the room. I want to spray an essential oil on their seat. And it's become this point where my team just laughs because they're like event mode. They're like, what time you want us here? And I was like, they're like 7:30. I'm like, yeah. They're like, what time will you be here? I'm like, And it's like, it's not, I even have to set an alarm. Like, I don't even have to set an alarm on those days. Like I wake up and I feel called to be in the room. And there's this like thing where I was like, I don't want anybody to see the detail that I just did, but I want to know that the detail is done so they feel it.
Yes, that's huge.
And it's like this level of intention and this level of care. And everyone's like, they're not going to see it. I'm like, that's not the point. It's that I gave the energy to it. And the container that's created feels safe. It feels loving. It feels meticulous. And it allows them to surrender in. So like, I will geek out with you about this all day, because even in the back end of businesses, like when I get called from a company like, George, we want to build customer journey. We want to double our business. Like the first thing I do is I find all the inconsistencies and incongruencies in the back end of the company that's being transmuted out to the customer. And they're like, wait, you didn't do anything except change our structure and how we talk, and our business increased 20%.
Right.
And I was like, yeah. because
That's huge.
what you do, what you embody, what your team embodies, and what I love is like, how do we make this the thing that we love so that we enjoy doing it? And that's the energy that gets transmuted to our customer. That's what they get to feel.
Dude, that's huge. Yeah, man.
I could geek out with you about this all day because I realize, like, you know, like I tell people all the time, I was like, we have the same access to models, to content, to info.
Yeah.
We have the same tools in our toolbox. The only difference is who's holding the tool, who's using it, and how do they feel when they use it. And those are the common denominator.
That's
Everyone
huge.
wants the secrets. The secret's you.
Yeah.
Right? The secret's you. And it's like, cool. Like I remember making my first million, and I was a narcissistic, gaslighting fucking asshole because I was living from trauma. And every time I made it, I'd lose it. And there were like people that were affected and hurt. And it felt like I had to like stretch and like push. And now it's like, yesterday I posted a photo of me and my son, and I was like, oh, I don't talk about my wins enough. Let me just show people what I got done today.
Oh, I saw that. I was like, who is this man?
Yeah. And then DM. And I was like, no, I'm not celebrating hustle culture. Like, I got all this done because I fucking love what I do. Like, I was so lit up that it was like in momentum. And they're like, hey, I want to pay you. I was like, well, no, slow the roll. Like, we got a date first. Like, let's have a conversation. Like, what's your business? What's here? And there's this like direct correlated effect that's been in my life, is that the more intention I spend on the back, the more magnetic everything becomes on the front.
That's
and
huge.
It's just
that's big, dude.
Yeah, the input on the back is the byproduct creates guaranteed success on the front. And so nobody even knows this yet. I just renamed the entire mastermind, and it is now a brand new model I made called the Relationships Beats Algorithms Mastermind. And it is literally a permutation model of N1 all day, earning the right to get to the inner circle and then the outer circle of customers. And I've put a couple one-on-ones through it, and they're like, this is fucking insane. And I was like, what? The simplicity of it? You know, the clarity, the intention, the discipline of like what it takes to be in it. So like you and I could do an entire, like we will jam about customer journey and design and intentionality in a room, because I want you to draw it and me to speak it, because then it will be legible for people. You know, that's what
By the way, I'm so glad you came on my show today. This has been really great. You've been my best guest so far.
Yeah, well, you know what? It is my show. So there's a point where of 52 minutes, I went on a 6-minute rant. So
it's so great, man. I'm loving it. I love it.
I'm like listening, and I was like, oh, Taki's about to get me on tilt, because he just hit like the passion nerve in me about like the things that people don't see.
So I think
go ahead.
Yeah, the thing I loved, well, one of the things I love is if you do it right, and I don't mean like technically right, but if you do it like internally right, it can look pretty effortless. And I'm not saying it's not work, because it's work.
No.
But there is nothing more attractive than someone who's comfortable in their own skin, expressing what's actually like something smart that's heartfelt. It's kind of a little bit magnetic. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I can always tell how aligned I am when I get home based on how quickly my wife comes to me. And I was like, oh, I did good today in business. I did really good. She's on my Instagram, and I walked in the door and she was like flirty. I was like, oh, I nailed it. Like I'm aligned today.
That's so great.
And then I come in the door and she's like over on the couch, and I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, something was out of alignment today. I was like, okay, got it. Internal check. Gonna go meditate right now. Let's find.
Let me post something real fast. Get that love back.
Yeah. But it's really, really insane. And man, like I'll say this to you on the recording, like I just have so much love and respect for what you do and how you do it. And I don't think a lot of people even see what's underneath it. But as somebody who obsesses about what it takes to design and to create these, like I feel your family. Like I feel your love. I feel your connection. I feel your values in every single interaction, whether we're sending a video or I'm watching one of your videos. And I just want to thank you.
Old pink Crocs.
Oh yeah, and they're not Crocs, by the way. I hate Crocs. They're native shoes. They're native shoes. They are Crocs and Converse had a baby.
Oh, okay, so cool. My bad. I apologize. I'd like to retract early in my upset.
No. Well, I have a few friends that have Crocs, and they tell me like there's off-roading mode where they like take the strap and flip it down, and I'm like, whoa. we're a little out of my category right now. Like I'm good with silicone, but I'm not at the croc level yet. But I just want to thank you, man, because I appreciate the example you are. I appreciate the passion, the heart, the leading from the front. Like everything that I see in the world matches on the back. Everyone I talk to, like you're just a massive walking beam of light and alignment. And I love how much you breathe into people. And so just in front of my entire podcast, like I just want to say thank you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I don't know what to say that's going to do that justice.
Thank you. Yeah, man, of course. And I would love to do this again. It's almost 100%. It's past my bedtime, and I'm going to drive home and I'm going to probably listen to The Road Less Stupid because I'm thinking about it now and I need some Keith Cunningham humor in my life on the way home. But before we go, two things I want to end with. Number one is we were talking before the best place people to find you. I am in your Facebook group. I'm going to recommend that everybody here get your ass in Taki's Facebook group. The end. You can get your hands and your feet and your Facebook and your everything. But yeah, don't do anything without consent. I don't know if he's into consensual non-consent, but whatever the game is, that's up for you guys to decide. But his Facebook group, an incredible place. What's the link, Taki, for them to get into the group?
Takisgroup.com.
And not Taki. Is it Taki? What do people say?
Taki. It's not Taki. It's Taki. Yeah. I had a podcast once, dude, and the hardest part was getting the American voiceover introduction guy. We had this guy with like a chocolate voice. He was so good. But he called me Taki and then Tarky. And it's like, forget this. We're not doing the podcast. I just couldn't get my freaking announcer to get my name right. Takisgroup.com. It's a great squad. I mean, if you're a business coach, it's going to be super useful. If you're a coach, it's going to be useful. If you're not, it's probably not going to be that helpful, to be blunt with you. You know, you've got enough shit going on in your life. You don't need to join a group that's not for you. But if that's you, then it'll be probably pretty damn helpful.
Yeah, I love it. And I recommend it too. So everybody here, like I'm a consumer, like I have a lot of friends that are actually in black belt with Taki because I hear about it all the time. Well, Taki said, I'm like, I know him too, but thank you. Like, it's great. Yeah. That's why we have such a good relationship because all your clients are my friends and they're like,
dude,
I know.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%.
I know. It's great. It's great. So there's one question that I always like to ask because it's kind of your ability to leave an indelible mark on people. And so I ask my guests, and I'm asking you.
With no notice.
No, not even profound. It can be simple, bro. It can be simple.
Okay.
But I like to be able to summarize it down. And so I'm like, just imagine that we Men in Blacked everybody and they forgot everything that was talked about in this episode. And whatever they hear in this moment is going to be tattooed on their soul. And it's this one thing that you want them to take away, that you want them to remember, that you want them to think about. What would that tattoo wisdom be?
Dude, unless you're a Buddhist, in which case I'm dead wrong. You get one chance at this. Mm-hmm. Again, if you're a Buddhist, you live a bad life, you come back as a shopping trolley wheel. That's a whole nother conversation. But for the rest of us, if you've only got one chance at this, you owe it to yourself to fully express. Like, I think that's what life's about, really, is to fully express what's in you, both ideas wise and creativity wise, and create. And I think, dude, if you found it, do more of it. And if you haven't found it, just like tap into what you don't like and what you do, and just get busy. Just get busy serving. Like, to be honest, I think this is a really not very concise metaphor. And so if this is tattooed on someone's heart, they're going to have to write it real small. I don't know, dude.
You do know
having such a shit ending, but the truth is
you should not apologize for that. That is profound and powerful, man. That is profound.
Well,
and
it's
powerful.
got somewhere in there for sure.
You made it. You thought it, like you made it up, and then you made it real, and then now we'll figure out how to repeat it,
and I'm going to
we'll recur it, right? I'll make it a tweetable.
For the rest of the
I'll synthesize it down into like a good model for you, and I'll send it your way. And I'm like, Taki, this is your tattoo wisdom model.
Hey, can I show you something fun?
Yeah, please. I'd love to.
I don't know if you can. Can you see that board?
I love that board. I love that board. I haven't ordered mine yet.
So on the board right now is the mantra: do work that matters with people we love to help people we really care about. I reckon that, like, if I could tattoo something on your heart, that'd be the thing.
Yeah, there you go. And just so everybody knows, Taki is the only guy that's tech game makes me jealous because I have a pretty good one, but he's over here 4 cameras set up, e-cammed, overhead, lav mic. And so if you are not watching this on video, which by the way, go find the video version so you can see the beauty that is here, the drawings, the everything else. It was a blast, Taki, from the bottom of my heart.
Man, this is really fun. Thanks for having me. I'm grateful.
No, thanks for saying yes. Thanks for letting me steal this much time on your schedule, and I appreciate it. So for everybody listening, take this as a very stern recommendation or requirement. You might as well just unsubscribe if you don't listen to me, because there's no other point for you to be here. Go to takisgroup.com, join the group, give it a taste, give it a flavor, because you might be able to find something you can implement in that moment, take a flavor, put it into practice, and have it be a part of your life. Taki, have an incredible trip to LA. I'm going to send you a taco spot that you have to try when you are in LA. Ooh. It will change your fucking life. Best tacos I've ever had in my life. And caveat, I just finished filming a TV show with Indian motorcycles, and we rode from San Francisco to Joshua Tree over 7 days. And we filmed on the motorcycles and we ate out. And they told us about the best tacos. And we were like, bullshit. You're out of your fucking mind. There's no way. 6 of us, I mean, professional athletes, celebrities, everybody who's eating tacos, lived in California. The hands down, the best tacos I've ever had in my life. I even shed a tear because I wanted to be right and I was wrong. And I literally cannot describe. And for those of you listening to this right now, if you want the taco spot, I will not say it on the show because I promised the person who took me there that I could only directly give it to people who asked. And so shoot me a DM on Instagram. You know how to get a hold of me, and say taco spot, and I will hit you with the link. But other than that, Taki, I'm going to open that loop. I will send it to you. And that's it.
Well, I'd like to return the favor and tell you about the best burger shop, the best burger I've ever had in my life.
Where? What state? What country?
San Francisco.
Okay, got it. San Francisco. Do you want to tell everybody or just tell me?
I mean, either way. I had to take
you know
my
what?
son to the children's hospital in San Francisco, and we got back to the hotel late at night, and everything was closed. And the concierge said, "Are you ready for the best burger you've ever had in your life?" I'm like, "Hell yes, I am." And I've been 4 times now at it. It is amazing.
You know what? I'll even double the ante for anybody listening. You want the burger shop? I'll send it to you too when you ask me about the taco shop. I'll make it really easy for you.
Yeah,
Customer Journey 101.
You've ever had in your life.
Come to me. You'll get the best taco of your life, the best burger of your life. One's in LA, one's in San Francisco. So you can add it to your calendar and you can.
And fair warning, to get to the best burger shop, you have to walk down a dark alley past a bunch of homeless people and a dive bar.
That's like the good makings for a good burger. So that's what it was like. And
then
to get the best
actual word, that's how you know you're in the right place. I was like,
to get the best tacos, we had to park in a Target parking lot, walk over to the sidewalk, wait in line on a busy street in LA behind 100 people on a weekday night to get these tacos. And the queso shelled El Pastor tacos will change your life. So
I've got a feeling I'm going to be there in the next 48 hours. So
I know you are, because once I send it to you, it's game over. So stick around, Taki. For everybody else listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been another episode of The Mind of George. So remember, relationships will always beat algorithms. So I will either see you in the next episode or you will hear me in your earballs. But now it's time to cue the outro.